America is supposed to be this horrible, horrid, racist country, yet we're having to build walls to keep people out. That's astounding. And I've yet to hear a leftist explain that contradiction.
Mm-hmm. No, they don't want to. If there's any reason to avoid a topic, it's because I don't have a coherent ideology. Everything
exactly.
is in conflict with itself.
And then the conversation becomes from the left, oh, well, look, I'm not even going to engage you on talk about the border because you're a racist.
So each month at the border, the past few months, we keep breaking records. And in April, we had over 175,000 people have encounters with Border Patrol agents. That is a lot of people, and sometimes it might be counted twice, but either way, it's still quite a bit. But last month, Border Patrol encountered more than 33,000 people crossing from the border that weren't from Central America, which means a good chunk of them came from places that are overseas. We were seeing a lot of India, Romania, Cuba, Europe, and a lot of other countries. Including this is from the New York Times, Border Patrol agents have encountered migrants from more than 160 countries. That's almost the whole world where people are trying to come across. And the logic with this has to do with Biden ending the Remain in Mexico policy from the Trump administration, because these people, if they are able to make it into the United States, they're able to wait here for maybe up to like 1 or 2 years while waiting their immigration hearing to stay in the United States. So one thing I wanted to ask you guys about this, I'll ask Josh this, has to do with why is this happening and how do we stop it?
Well, you nailed it just now. You nailed part of it, which is the abolition of the stay in Mexico policy. You know, if you're fleeing North Africa and you manage to get to Greece, and then okay, if I can get across and get to Mexico, then I can get to the U.S. Hey, good deal. If you're fleeing North Africa, you end up in Greece, and you learn, okay, I can get to Mexico, but I'm going to have to wait there. Greece, I'd probably rather hang out in the Mediterranean than I would in drug country in North Mexico. So I think that's an enormous, enormous, enormous part of it. The Biden administration clearly, whether they intended to or not, it's kind of engaged the left where they are. Let's say they weren't trying to send out the message that, hey, we're open for business for everybody. They absolutely did. There's no other explanation for why you have migrants showing up in, hey, thanks, Biden, we're here, T-shirts. So the administration sent out that message and rolled, I mean, the most hilarious thing out there, you had states considering whether or not to allow other citizens to cross state lines because of COVID, and then we roll out the welcome mat to the world. It was absolutely crazy. So abolishing that policy, but then just the essentially the dovishness of the left and no, not the left, the dovishness of Democrats on immigration issues. The left gets incredibly militant on immigration issues once it has what it wants. Once the left gains control of a country, then they become unbelievably militant about border security and border controls and patrols. So so it's Democrats' move right now. It is a short-term attempt for the leftists to get Democrats more control in the United States by diluting the voting system, the voting pool, and then once they get control, they'll shut down borders like crazy. The only problem is then they're keeping you from leaving. That's what I would say.
Well, one thing that's kind of funny on that note about the Democrats is kind of the general tone these days is they brag about their immigration policies, which I don't even think they have a coherent policy. Yeah. I don't think the right still also needs to figure out what we believe in on immigration, because there's no coherent immigration tone now, because everyone seems to be divided between, the nativists, the people who think that legal immigration should happen but not illegal, and then people who are like, let's have open borders. So there's no in between with a lot of these.
But that's not a conservative position. Open borders is not a conservative position. It's arguably a libertarian position, but I don't think it's a popular position amongst conservatives.
But one thing I wanted to say though is that the Democrats have to have this tone where they at least say they want to be more lax on immigration policies, yet they kind of don't like America all that much. And
yeah, well, if we're so
coming?
racist, come to our racist country. It makes no sense. I'm sorry I cut you off. That's a great point.
And if we have people from from all over the world wanting to come to the United States, isn't that just proof of American exceptionalism? I want to see Andrew's thoughts on this.
No, you're spot on again. Both of your intros have been just spot on answers to these questions. I mean, just the idea that this is American exceptionalism. The fact that we're going to talk about how broken the American system is, and sure, we've got our flaws and we've got our foibles, most of them coming from what you're talking about with both sides maybe there's a mildly coherent position, but really the position of both sides, particularly on the issue of immigration, and I've covered it at length in the last month or so, particularly speaking with Center for Immigration Studies with Mark Krikorian 2 weeks ago, is that both sides are just essentially operating on, well, my position is the opposite of their position. Less on the details of their position. The problem for Democrats is that if all of my other positions are that our system is fundamentally broken, there's nothing good here for, non-white individuals, then why is everyone in the world scrambling to get here? Why is it that people are swimming from Cuba and making one of the most, and again, when we talk about the humanitarian crisis at the border, we mean, there are folks who are bringing infants from, the tip of Belize up to the United States through just absolutely horrifying deserts, bad conditions, no water. And then, like you said, in North Mexico, a massive, massive drug cartel situation between multiple cartels, cartel wars just 2 years ago, like all out war on the streets in Mexico. But people want to come here.
They're literally willing to risk being raped repeatedly. When you think about it, I mean, because that's essentially that's part of the currency in dealing with coyotes.
The coyotes are horrifying.
So women are literally willing to risk a high risk of being raped multiple times just so they can get to America. Which, again, you're exactly right. The 1619 Project, the left in general, America is supposed to be this horrible, horrid, racist country. Yet we're having to build walls to keep people out. That's astounding. And I've yet to hear a leftist explain that contradiction.
No, they don't want to. If there's any reason to avoid a topic, it's because I don't have a coherent ideology. Everything is in conflict with itself.
And then the conversation becomes from the left, oh, well, look, I'm not even going to engage you on talk about the border because you're a racist, and I don't talk with racists. And that's intellectually problematic.